do they hand out blankets? And he said, no, they lead street retreats. They take people like you and me into the streets to hang out with people, to bear witness to the homelessness. And that's it, I said. And he said, yeah, they just keep asking the question over and over again, what keeps us feeling separate from each other? You have got to be kidding me. That is so condescending, I can't even believe you're serious. They just talk to people. I mean, I would like to know what they think they're doing for the homeless. It would be one thing to go in there and organize, but they get to go and say, everything's fine, we're all one, great, but they're not changing anything. They're not doing anything for the homeless. Yeah, that's what I told this guy. And besides, I said, I wouldn't feel very comfortable doing something like that, going into the streets like that. And also, it sounds kind of foolish to me. And he said, it is foolish. He said, they're trying to poke holes in the way we look at reality. And only fools do that. So I asked him again, I said, you mean they just talk to people? And he said, yes, they just talk to people. Kind of like how I talked to that lady today. Taming the bull. The fool talks with a ministry of fools who tell her that through delusion, one makes everything untrue. Accompany the people on the streets, they say. Do not stray until the mind is tamed. Hello, my friend. Are you needing something, a hat, or some tea, or a song, or some string? Is this the faithful fools? Why, yes. Yes, it is. It says here the same. Glad to make your acquaintance. What's your name? My name's Tracy. I was wondering why you do these things called street retreats. It seems strange. You just talk to people? I'm a friendly old bloke. I like talking to folk. But is it helping anyone? Helping. That's not exactly what it's about. What do you like to do to help people out? Well, I work in the little church on the corner in the soup kitchen, and I help give out food to the homeless people there. That's a nice thing to do. You help them to eat. And if people are hungry, that's no little feat. But we call that a Band-Aid, not a real remedy. We fools want to change the way people see. So we bring them all out from all over the nation, push them over the line with no explanation. We mix them all up, the good and the bad, the happy and the sad, the dirty and the clean, the kind and the mean. We mix them all up. No answers, no rations. Then, sometimes they see people sleeping in doorways. Instead of in old ways, they see them in new ways. Then the boundaries fall down, and there's no separation. Do you always talk in rhyme? I'm just an old fool, out of sync with the time. Since I'm not very schooled, I find it simpler to rhyme. Besides, we fools, we like to break rules. How about you? Think it's cool? Well, yes, sort of. My friend George says we have to understand why people are sleeping in doorways and then change the whole system of everything. Well, he's right, but how? Who's changing things now? We think things will change with political clout, or a lot of money, or a loud enough shout. But has anything made this hunger depart? Perhaps we begin by changing the heart. You come out on the streets with us one day, you see for yourself, in your own way. I wouldn't feel very comfortable doing something like that. What are you thinking might happen to you? They might hurt me. They might rob me too. Oh dear, now I'm doing it. Ah, yes. Anywhere strangers, kinda dangerous. It's just that it's safer in my neighborhood. The people there are more normal. I mean, I'm just really different from a lot of the people out here. A lot of them are on drugs. Folks in the streets doing drugs. Understood. Just like the people in your neighborhood. But where do they come to get their drugs from? They come get them here, where no one is known. Take them back to their office, their fancy home. People here have to smoke in the streets. You can see the rocks in their pipes. They can't be discreet. The people I know don't smoke crack. Crack is the cheap way. People who come from other places can afford pricey drugs and hide their faces. They come down in their limos, their fancy black Lincolns, in from the suburbs in clean clothes and linens, pick up their marijuana for their fantasies, their cocaine, their ecstasy. Some of the younger ones stay, get hooked on the drugs. Cost $300 in a day. So they sell their bodies to thugs. And who are these thugs? Lawyers, executives, big shots all. Even politicos from City Hall. Take them down to a fancy hotel. Buy them beautiful clothes. Treat them well. Keep them for 2 weeks. If they're lucky for 3. And then dump them. Back on the streets. Empty. People like that must get pretty messed up. Yeah. Pretty messed up. But people with money can get messed up too. We're all messed up, Tracy. Even me. Even you. We're not separate that way. We're messed up most days. But their lives are so unhappy. They have no home to go back to. So you have always had a home to go back to. But was there someone there always who was loving to you? No. not always. So, you know what it is to be lonely then, don't you? Most folks on the streets are lonely too. So come out with us, Tracy. Come out on the street. Come see who you meet. They might be poor and they might be racy. But then again, you just might meet Tracy. And sometimes we take ourselves seriously. Sometimes we are just like that. But when things get oh so serious, we have to put on the hat. Riding the bull home. The fool goes on a street retreat and talks with the people who live there. Mounting the bull, slowly she returns home. Why did I come here? Everything is so dirty. All the buildings and the people are so dirty. I just want to find a place to sit down. I don't want to look at anybody. Hi. Hi. No, I'm fine. Thank you. Hello. I am so hungry. But if I get in that food line, they will know for sure that I am not homeless and that I can afford to eat. I was stupid not to bring any money. Maybe I just won't look at anybody. Everyone seems to know each other. How do they do that? I don't know that many people in my neighborhood. I bet they all do drugs together. There are 3 guys dancing around on that corner over there with a boombox, and one of them is wearing green spandex. I guess if you don't have a home, you have to dance in the streets. They look like they're having a really good time. I wish... Oh, sorry. He didn't even notice that I don't belong here. All the food looks really bad. I could get food poisoning or something. Everyone is trading their food with each other. Some of them are even giving it away. Oh, no thank you. There's this old lady, and she's asking me for my chocolate egg. like chocolate, so I'm giving it to her. She tells me that her name is Suzanne, and she's from the South, and she never thought she'd end up here. I guess nobody thinks I'm gonna be a homeless person when I grow up. Oh my God. It's starting to rain. And I don't have my trench coat or my umbrella or anything. Oh, there's Suzanne. She's signaling for me to come over. Tonight I'll have a warm place to go back to, and she won't. But I've decided to go over to her place anyway. Anyway, it seems to be her place because all of her things are laid out all around her. She's spreading out some newspaper on the sidewalk under the fire escape for me. Thank you. She's handing me a cup of warm water and telling me to hold it in my hands to warm them up. I'm feeling the steam up against my face. Nice. I ask her when she first came to San Francisco. And she says 15 years ago, when she retired from her job in the South. But then she says in the last few years, rents got so high she had to move onto the streets. I can't believe people like her end up this way. But she says sometimes it's really not so bad. She's talking to everyone who passes by. It's like my grandmother having people over for tea or something. Everyone who stops talks with her and then smiles at me because they think I'm with her. Oh my God. There's this man and he's coming out of nowhere and he is shaking his fists at me and he is yelling at me like he's gonna hit me or something, like I've done something wrong or something, and Suzanne is just winking at me saying, "Don't worry, honey, he's not gonna hurt you, he's just trying to scare you." Well, it's working, I tell her. And then she goes up to him and she tells him to stop bothering me and to move along. And he goes away. And now Suzanne is telling me how she studied to be a nurse. And I'm looking at her hands and her fingernails, which are blackened with dirt. And I'm thinking how at one time they must have been so clean, because I know nurses have to wash their hands all the time. And I'm telling her how I'm studying to be a counselor because I like helping people. And she says, yeah, that's why I became a nurse. You get to make friends with all the people that you help. But of course, I know that you can't be friends with the people you're trying to counsel. You have to keep your boundaries. And I'm telling her that. And she says, what are you talking about, child? You've got to be friends with the people you're trying to help, or else you can't really help them. All of a sudden, Everything seems so weird. I'm so cold. Suzanne reaches for some newspaper and puts it over our heads. And then there she is, wearing an old raggy cardigan sweater, an old t-shirt over that, and another raggy old turtleneck over that, and a big old torn beige overcoat over everything, and I only have my Patagonia. And all of a sudden, everything seems so silly. And I say, I wish we could get something warm to drink, and I would, except I don't have any money.